Do you keep private things private? I can't do it. No, that's not what you said.
What did I say? We'll show you how. I'll forget that I gotta sit up like a freak.
Don't say that. Just stop.
You ready?
Yeah. Welcome back to Adore Your Spouse, where marriages get happier. We women have a little bit of a problem. And it's time for us to have the courage to have a little bit of self-honesty and to really assess what we're doing, because we tend to gossip.
No, I didn't say this. She's saying this.
I hear it. We go to lunch, we hang out at the park, we go to work, and we have this tendency to talk badly about our husbands. Now, sometimes, it's a little disparaging comment about men in general. That's usually pretty innocent. Your husband usually isn't going to get offended about that. What he's going to get offended about is when you tell specifics about things that have gone on in your marriage that he didn't necessarily want anybody to know. And you didn't check in with him before you decided to tell other people about it. And so the result is that he doesn't want to tell you stuff anymore. And then you're frustrated and upset. It's like this vicious cycle. And then you're telling your girlfriends, well, he won't even talk to me, we can't be close, and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, why would he? Because you're telling other people private things that should remain private.
But it's worse than just getting offended. It's really undermining and hurting the marriage, because you've hurt the trust, right? They might be offended, but they also may not trust you. And that's kind of what you're saying. Then why would I say anything? But all of a sudden, you're starting to, when you talk that way, you're starting to see your husband in a different light. And it's not a good light. You're going to think less of your husband, which is going to impact your relationship.
You're getting a distorted view of him. And then, men already have a bigger difficulty. I mean, biologically, the science is there to show that they just don't have the same kinds of verbal connections that women have. They already have a harder time understanding their emotions and expressing their emotions and being vulnerable and communicating clearly with you. And unfortunately, ladies, sometimes we're actually undermining this. We're frustrated about something that's going on in the marriage when we're participating in creating it, because he knows deep down inside that the next time he decides to get vulnerable and honest, you may run off and tell somebody that he doesn't want to know. So why would he? Why would he do that? He doesn't trust you. So it really is a big problem in a lot of marriages, and it's a very common habit for women to get into. And sometimes we don't intend to do it, but then our girlfriend is doing it, and then they're all laughing, and then we have a funny story. So then we decide that we either want to empathize with our friends or we want to get attention, and so we bring things out that we just should not be telling other people.
So what can they do to fix it? What can they do to make things better?
What can women do to make things better? Well, they can stop, you can just bite your tongue, just refuse to participate. If your girlfriend starts doing it, then you can say, let's talk about something else, and if it's been a habit and you've been doing it for a long time, then you can, kind of say, you could say, I watched this Adore Your Spouse video. You could say, I read a good book, whatever. I got some advice from a really wise person that I shouldn't be doing this anymore. So I'm going to really try to stop and not talk negatively about my spouse anymore. And I think your girlfriends would need to respect that. And if they're truly your friends, then they're not going to force the issue.
But I think you should go to your spouse and apologize to them if you've done some things.
Yes.
And say, I'm sorry, I didn't realize what I was doing, da da da. I mean, I knew it was wrong, but I didn't realize the impact I was having, and I was undermining your trust, and et cetera, et cetera. The other thing that Audrey did when we were married, 5 years, we were having a really, really hard time, especially her, because, I've said that a million times, that I didn't feel it as much as she felt it, the pain in the marriage. But so she's feeling all this pain, and she says, I have got to talk to somebody. She came to me and told me that. I have got to talk to someone about this and what's going on. I just need a shoulder to cry on, and it obviously can't be yours. So who would you feel comfortable? Talk about create a tremendous amount of trust, and talk about really help them keep the marriage, keep that loyalty to me. And I appreciate it. I was being an idiot, so I said, okay, why don't you go talk to your mom? And it did a couple things. Number one, it really helped her, but it also helped the marriage, and it made me feel safe, because maybe your mother-in-law is not the right person. Maybe there would be someone else. I don't know, but you could help pick that person so you both felt comfortable. Maybe it's a neutral third party, like a counselor or something like that, or a minister or something.
But then they know that if if there's a problem again, you're not just going to go blab it out, right? Like they know that you're trustworthy and they know that you're going to, he knew I hadn't told anybody.
Yeah.
Like that's what was so, that was so great for the relationship. Now, obviously, if there are major issues in your marriage, you need to seek help. If there's an abusive situation or something really bad going on, go get help. We're talking about the smaller stuff. We're talking about, especially about your intimate life. Nobody needs to know, folks.
Never,
Just
ever.
nobody needs to know except for maybe a therapist who's helping you to work through those issues. So keep private things private. It will build a lot of trust. If you've breached it, go apologize. That's our challenge to you this week. If you've been breaching the trust by not keeping private things private, go apologize to your spouse and say, from now on, I am not going to do that kind of thing anymore. And I'm struggling with this thing in our marriage. So who's someone that I could talk to that would help me deal with this issue that we're having in our marriage?
And I would create maybe want to come up with a little tagline or something like that. So when your friends start doing it, if you've been doing it with them, you might say, oh, I've changed my mind, or whatever it is, right? That I don't do this anymore, or I realize that whatever. So they understand you're not going to offend your friends at all.
And if there's something in your marriage that you think is kind of innocent that you'd like to tell your friends, ask your spouse if they're okay with it.
Sure.
You know, when you messed up last week and messed up the sprinklers, can I tell people about that? Or do you not want me to tell people? And it will rebuild trust so quickly. So that's our challenge. Rebuild trust by keeping private things private. Open a conversation with your spouse about that. Thanks so much for watching. Please head over to adoreyourspouse.com to check out the free assessment and the free class. They're really valuable tools for your marriage. And remember, you can have the happy marriage that you want. Who should you be spending time with? What are we going to do about this issue? Is it really a problem? Is it not really a problem?
But more than who you're going to spend time with, how you're going to handle it.
Yeah.
To maintain the trust and keep yourself
So
emotionally
what do you
distant
think?
from others. Well, there's a few things you can do. The number one thing